Trey and welcome to another of my colouring tutorials. In this tutorial I'm going to attempt to colour this rose, and it will be a wee bit of a challenge because it's quite a detailed rose and I'm going to try and make it look realistic, but also because of these dewdrops. Something I don't do very often, and so I've been putting off doing this rose because of those dewdrops. So hopefully my attempt to do this rose will help other people to do something similar, and let's see how it goes. Now I'm continuing to use Castle Art pencils for this project, and I have done tutorials for the other two flowers, so please do check those out. Again, it's up to you what you want to use. Sorry, pencil wise, you just use whatever pencils you've got, and pick the colours that are similar to what I'm using. So I'm using a pale pink, a medium pink, and a reddish, dark reddish pink, and that's going to be for most of the flower for those three, but I'm using a paler pink again and white for those dots, which I'll do at the end. So the first colour will be the pale pink, and I'll be using light pressure as well. The inside of the flower is going to be the darkest, and anywhere that's kind of overlapping and butt up to the middle of the flower, they'll be darker. So I'm going to be doing where I think the lightest parts are. So the lightest parts are like the bent up sections, the ends of the petals, nearest the top, which is where the light's going to be, all around these sections, these kind of sections as well. So where the light's going to be, where it's going to hit the top of these petals, will be the lightest pink. Now if I'm not sure if it's going to be light or not on a petal, I will leave the lightest pink off and adjust it later on. I kind of see where it's going, because some of these petals are kind of hidden further down, so I'll put a little bit of light on there, which could be covered over with the medium pink later on. But it's just adjusting it, you work it out as you go along. Always be cautious at the start, because you can change and adapt it as you go along. Now that's the first lighter sections put down, and that could well be needing adjusted. I'm trying to work out how the drawing of the rose has been done. It's quite complicated, working out if it's bent over or it's underneath or overlaid. I think once I start getting the layers on, I'll pick it up a bit better, which is why I'm always cautious at first with a complex design, because I might not have picked it up the first time very well, so I tend to be quite cautious really. I'm going to use medium pink. I'm going to put in where I think the darker sections are. I will overlap the lighter sections if I'm happy with where they are. I mean, for instance, this section here, it's bent. I've assumed it's bent over a little bit. Same with this, I'm bending towards the light. So if I'm not 100% sure I'm happy where my lighter sections are, I won't overlap. So I will, the easiest parts to do are the sections where it's inside, closest to the middle of the flower for these petals. So that's where I'll be starting, and I'll adjust it as I see how it's coming together. Now I've got the medium pink down, and as I was going along, I adjusted where I thought it needed it. Quite often when there's lots of lines and you're not quite sure how it's working out, it's not until you get colour down that you can see it, see the shape a bit better. So I'm happy with the the light and the medium sections, I'm now going to put in the dark reddish pink. And don't be too concerned about it being a bit untidy looking or patchy looking at first, because once you're more comfortable with where you want your light and dark sections to be and your colours to be, you can smooth it out with your layers as you start putting them down. So now I'm going to put down the darker sections, and I'll be working around the inside edges, things that are bent away where I feel the light is, underneath where it's bent over. And this middle section, there'll be quite a bit of dark in there because it's going in, the petals are sort of like bending round and going in, so I'm going to try to create a bit more shadow inside this section. Also anything that overlaps. So there are the first 3 layers of the colours I'm using for the main part of the rose. I'll do these separately, the 2 dewdrops. I tend to find when I'm doing, just in the section, when I'm doing my darkest layer, the first one, I see more, it kind of comes together for me a bit better. You kind of see where you need to adjust a bit more. And I think it's because it darkens it in, it shows you the shadows and the bends and your folds and stuff like that. So I always find that's the best layer to put down. So now that I need to do more layering, obviously I won't do that on camera, you don't watch all that. So I'll do that and come back to this. I put at least 3 layers of each of those colours down, the pale pink, medium pink and this reddish pink. And then I did a blend. I tried blending with a cotton bud on its own and it wasn't enough, so I used a little bit of zest. So now I'm going to just darken in a little bit again, because when I use zest it tends to blend away some of the shading. I just want to darken in the darker sections. I didn't feel I needed to adjust where my colours were after the first layer much at all. It was it worked out fine, so pretty much where it had been, where I'd chosen it to be. And I'm really liking how the roses turned out. And of course, for yourselves, if you want to put more layers down, then, you know, do. I mean, I just put down as many as I feel comfortable with, and try not to take too long with things. I tend to find I get a little bit bored if I try to put many layers down. It just takes so long. Now then, I want to try and do these dewdrops, and I'm going to be using a paler pink than I've done for the rest of the rose, and my white pencil. Now I want to put a little highlight for the dewdrop, just almost like the lightest part. And I'm going to be using the medium pink as well on this for some of the darker sections. Right. So I'm going to go over all the dewdrop section in the very palest pink I've got in this actual set, and it's paler than what I've used on the rest of the rose. And for now I'm going to go around the white. Now I'm going to go around that white in the medium pink, just to highlight that section, and the edge of the bubble as such, the dewdrop. Use the lightest pink again and blend that out, go over the darker bit I just put down. If I think that highlight's it's too much of a highlight, I'm just going to go into it with the lightest pink. It will be paler because I'm going over white. I've used that technique before. It gives you a lighter shade of the colour you're using if you put white underneath. Medium pink again, just to darken around the highlight. Just soften up that medium pink. And that's the dewdrops. I think they work okay. It's not easy really to do those. I probably could have done with another lighter section near the bottom. But one of those things to practice on. But it looks okay. I mean, it still looks reasonably like a dewdrop. Right, so that is the flower finished. And I've enjoyed doing this rose. I like roses. It's one of my favourite flowers, those and carnations. And so it's nice to be able to do a reasonably realistic rose. So I hope anybody that's watched this has found this useful, got some tips. Please leave any comments, feedback or questions you might have. And I'll say bye for now, and I'll see you again in the near future with a different tutorial.